The job support scheme and further help for the self-employed. This video goes into some of the details and mechanics behind the job support scheme and how the self-employed are going to be subsidised through grants over the coming months. It's actually 6 months that some of these things that will operate for. If you're new to the channel, then please consider subscribing, and pressing the like button helps me, so please do it. The job support scheme. So as the furlough ends, so the furloughing ends at the end of October, and it won't be continued after that date. So what they come up with to stop there being a hard exit to that is the job support scheme. And what's envisaged is that employers will want to bring their staff back, but they won't have enough work for them to be working full time. I mean, you can really see that in restaurants, for example, where they've got to close at 10 o'clock. So what they've come up with is where a subsidised scheme where reduced hours are subsidised by the government. So what does that mean in practice? Well, what it means in practice is, to start with, the jobs have to be real enough. So they're saying that a third of the job, the normal hours, has to be paid as normal by the employer. So the first 33%, actually, not the third, it's a 33%. The first 33% is simply paid normally by the employer. And that leaves you with the rest of what they haven't earned through their work. Now that might be 67%, or it might be less than that. So it might be 50% they're working and 50% they're not working. And it's the bit that they're not working where the subsidy comes in. And the bit they're not working, that gets split into three. A third of it goes by the employee, just earns less. So the employee takes some of it. A third of it, the employer has to suffer. So they have to pay for work that doesn't actually take place. And then a third of it is subsidised by the government. And that's where this help comes in. So if you take a simple example where somebody works, say, 40% of their normal hours, it could have been 33, but they've actually done a little bit more than the minimum. So they've done 40% of their normal hours. So that's paid normally. Then 20%, which is a third of the remaining 60%. So 20% is then suffered as a pay cut by the employee. 20% is suffered by the employer, who has to pay for work that's not been done. And then 20% is subsidised by the government. So is there anything more to it? Well, we're envisaging that it will be administered in a similar way to the furlough. So the money will come in pretty quickly, actually. It's been done really efficiently to give them their dues. There are some other stipulations, if you like. So the most good ones. So the £1,000 that you get if you take back somebody who has been furloughed. So if he takes back somebody who's been furloughed, it's been previously announced to this that you get £1,000 if they work in November, December and January, and you get that in February. So you still get that. So this scheme does not override it, you get it additionally. So although the employer has to suffer 20% of the hours that are not worked, you do get the £1,000 if that person has been furloughed. All employees can be included, so that's directors can be included, although I do wonder how a director could be working less than full time, because actually my experience is that directors have been working really, really hard over this period. But anyway, directors could be included. They don't have to have been furloughed, although it does dovetail into the furlough scheme. The individuals whose wages are being reduced do not have to have been furloughed in the first place, so any employee can count. And there is a cap on it, which is linked to the £2,500 a month that the furlough was deeply embedded into the furlough system. And if you do the sums, if anybody wants, I can do the sums. I worked it out, but the maximum is £697.92. So that's the maximum, but basically it's linked to the £2,500 that we've known about previously. That's all there is really about employees. So if we go on to the self-employed, so it's likely that some self-employed people will be earning less than they would have been in the coming months. So what they've done is that there's a maximum of £1,875, and so that's the maximum, but it's 20% of your earnings in the normal period, which has been used before, which is a period up until April 2019. So it'll come in 3-month tranches. So it's which is a quarter of a year, isn't it? So it'll be a quarter of your average earnings and then multiply by 20%. So it's 20% of your your normal earnings in the period up until 2019, and it'll be paid for November, December and January, and then February, March and April. So the first tranche will be paid in February and the second tranche in May. So it's much less than the help that you got earlier on in the year, but at least some support to help you through difficult times. Now you will have to say that, and it will have to be true of course, that you have suffered negative effects as a result of the virus. Now I know that a lot of self-employed are tradespeople, and actually tradespeople are doing pretty well now, so it's up to you whether you will know whether you have been adversely affected by the virus. And my experience is that people have either, it's very binary, so some people are hugely benefited, actually are much better off, and some people just have virtually no trade. So the people with no trade at least will have some income, but if you are booming, do think about claiming the money, because you shouldn't be claiming it if actually your business isn't adversely affected. So there we are, there's additional help. It's 20% of your monthly income in 3 monthly tranches, which will come through in February and in May, and at least give you some help with the Christmas credit card bills, I don't know. So there we have it. There are 2 sort of main schemes to help people sort of transition to normal working. There's one to help employers and employees, and one to help the self-employed. So it is actually a package that can help a great number of people. I suspect it'll be much less used than the furlough, which has been very widely used. I think again, it is quite easy to claim money that you shouldn't do, so be really careful to understand the rules, so that so you can never be accused of any fraud. But it is help, and I think it'll be substantial help to some businesses. I can really see the hospitality business needing this help and benefiting from it, although they won't feel like they're getting much benefit, because it is really hard, I know. So please, if you've got any questions about this, or if you want to comment, then please do. Liking the video really helps me, and if you want to subscribe, you'll be very welcome. Thank you.